Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this video, we are going to discuss about verbs. So starting with verbs. What are verbs? Verbs are words that describe an action or a situation. So further we are going to discuss the different types of verbs. First of all, starting with the state and action verbs. Now, example, I know, I knew, I have known, I had known. Now the difference between a state verb, which is also known as stative, and action verb, which is also known as dynamic verb, is that the word action verb itself shows that it shows verbs that shows an action like jump, run. And if we talk about state verb, they describe or show a situation or express about a situation. And examples for state verbs: be, have, think, like, own, they are all state verbs. Now you have to keep in mind that most verbs in English are dynamic verbs, and we can use them in all the tenses. That means we can use them in the simple tenses, in the continuous tenses, or we can use them in the perfect tenses. So I can give you an example. I work, I worked, I'm working, I was working, I have been working. So you can see that we are using it in all types of tenses. There is no issue. But now, if we talk about stative verbs or state verbs, the situation is very different. Now, because state verbs is referring to a situation or a state, so we cannot use them with all the tenses. So you have to remember that we can use it in anything but the continuous. By that I mean that we can use it in simple and perfect tense, but not the continuous one. Now, example, I know, I knew, I have known, I had known. Now let's discuss some more example. I have a huge library. So you can see that in this sentence, we are not doing anything. There's no action. The state verb is have, because we are expressing or telling about a situation that we have, a huge library. So the next example, the students are studying in the library. So you can see in this sentence that study is a physical action, and we are using the continuous form ing. And this is an example of action verb. And students, you have to remember that you cannot use I'm having a huge library. And that is wrong, because students commonly, they do these mistakes. So you have to make sure you don't do these mistakes. Now next we are going to discuss about main and helping, which are also known as auxiliary verbs. Now the verbs in sentences, they can be used as main verbs or as helping verbs. So the auxiliary or helping verbs are actually helping the main verb in a sentence. Now the most important helping verbs are be, do, have. The helping or auxiliary verb do exists in simple tenses, be exists in continuous tenses, and have exists in perfect tenses. Now let's discuss an example. Musa is sleeping now. So in this sentence, we have two verbs, is and sleeping. Main verb is sleeping, which is an action, and is a helping verb because it shows the tense of this sentence. it shows that Musa is sleeping now. And if I say Musa was sleeping, you know that I'm talking about the past. So helping verbs tell us about the tense. So students, we are saying is, but that is a form of to be. And one more example with do helping verb is, do you play cricket every Sunday? One more example is, we have cooked rice several times. So again, we know that the main verb is cooked, but have is the helping verb, which is telling us about the experience, lifetime experience of cooking the rice several times. Now we will discuss about main verbs. We have a house. Now in this sentence, have is the main verb. So be, do and have can also play the role of a main verb in few cases. So another type of helping verbs are modals. So what are modals? Modals are these words: can, could, may, might, will, should, shall, must. So actually they are just like be, do and have. They work with the main verb. Now let me share with you some examples. I could go. You should take. So you can see modals are being used with the main verb. Actually modals, they help us to express mood in sentences. Now what is mood? In grammar, mood is the attitude of the speaker. That is the feeling that I'm conveying to you. For example, now an example, second year might lose the cricket match this year. So this tells the mood or the attitude of the speaker regarding second year. So it shows the possibility. Now we are going to discuss about regular and irregular verbs. Now you have to keep in mind that in English, only verbs can have tenses. Now we have 5 forms in English. First of all, the base, present, past, the past participle and ing form. So now let's take an example of ask, the base, present ask, past asked, past participle is asked and the ing continuous form is asking. Now in regular verbs, we say that the word is a regular verb when the past tense and the past participle, they are both, you can see, ending with ed, asked. But we cannot do that with an irregular verb. Now, example of an irregular verb. Now you can see we have an example of go. The present is go. The past is went and it's not goed. And the past participle is gone. So you can see the past tense and the past participle, they are different. So they are irregular verbs. You have to keep in mind that we cannot guess the past and the past participle of the irregular verbs. We have to learn them. So now we are going to discuss about transitive and intransitive verbs. So what is the difference? Well, a transitive verb is one that only makes sense if it exerts its action on an object, while an intransitive verb will make sense without one. So let me give you an example. So the children found the cat. Now if I say the children found, you will say what? So the children found the cat. Cat is the object and found is the transitive verb because it needs the object to express itself. Now let me give you an example of intransitive verb. The children laughed loudly. So you can see in this sentence we don't have any object. Laughed is the verb while loudly is not an object. I can give you examples of intransitive verbs like live, die, laugh, cry, run, sleep, sit, stand. So these are all examples of intransitive verbs.